Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only Millennial Mike. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on. Excited to do our weekly Q&A.
Yeah, so folks, if you don't know, this is the interview I referenced in my daily financial news. The reason we had to do it early is because Mike and I missed last week. We have a lot of stuff queued up. So he agreed to go at 7. So I said, if he agreed, I'd agreed. So we're going to do some work for the next couple of hours together. Again, Mike, thank you for all you do. Thank you for doing this Q&A. It's quickly becoming one of my favorites where we just dive into some cool questions. But yeah, and the audience loves them. So thanks for all you do.
Yeah, happy to do so. So for those of you who don't know, what I do is I comb meticulously through the comment section of Mike's videos, and I try to find comments that are good questions, or spicy, angry comments, or things that need to be cleared up that Mike maybe didn't have enough time to make a video on yet. We cover those things here. Also, if you tag us in videos or things like that, we'll do reactions to them. So we have some of those queued up for a little bit later this morning. What we're going to start with right away today, first question is about Hurricane Ian. What's going on? So Dane Wright asks, what are your thoughts on the real estate destruction caused by Hurricane Ian? Who is going to rebuild those homes and when? I'm from the West Coast, so I don't know how they handle the aftermath and recovery.
Yeah, so I've been around a long time. I've lived in California my whole life. But I remember past hurricane stories. And generally speaking, and again, this one could be different, but generally speaking, there's a bunch of insurance money coming. I've heard totals of it could be the largest payout ever. Either way, it's going to be in the top 2 or 3. So there's a lot of money coming to South Florida or to Florida in general, perhaps even South Carolina. I heard it made landfall again. So in essence, there's going to be a lot of rebuilding. I don't know what the percentage is. This is just a pure guess. My guess is somewhere between 70 and 80% of homes get rebuilt. The other 20 to 30% people take cash, scrape it, and sell the lot. Right? Some people won't come back. But I think you would be shocked about the number of people that will just take the check and rebuild. This is not a fluke, right? Florida residents have hurricanes. Obviously, this one is very destructive, loss of life, all of that. But generally speaking, I think Floridians, I think you call them, will rebuild. Which, oh, by the way, that's, more inflation, right? We have, I don't know, 68 billion or 70 billion or 100 billion, whatever the number is, going to a very concentrated part of the world. That's going to be demand for labor, roofs, lumber. There's a lot of money coming, and that'll keep people employed. And, generally speaking, I think a lot of people rebuild is my short answer. In the short term, there's a lot of, people that need housing. There's a lot of work, so it's going to be a very dynamic area. So I my guess is most people rebuild.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there. I mean, where are you going to go? If that's home, that's home, Okay. Advice for move-up buyers, and then we're going to ask about advice for first-time buyers. So JPGGIF9 asks, do you have any advice on move-up buyers in the Bay Area or anywhere? We have cash for a down payment. We prefer not to sell our current house, but our income may not qualify for a loan due to the high interest rate. So what advice do you give people who are struggling to figure out if they can buy something different?
Well, so really there's 2 answers there, right? I think there are some markets like the Bay Area that are very tech heavy. I've been very clear for 6 months now. I think the next recession is white collar led. Think tech, think financial services. And given I live kind of in the heart of all of that, we may be feeling it in the Bay Area more than most. We've already seen San Jose down 10% peak to trough so far. More pain could be coming. So what I would tell someone, or what I would tell Olivia, right? Because I can't give advice to anyone else. What I would tell Olivia is, you know what? Let's see where this goes, right? Look at your market. I never stop looking. I would probably tell Olivia, hey, you know what? Let's do the work every day, but let's see if we can find a motivated seller between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Let's just see. And I mean, steep discounts, because it's always a great day to do a great deal, but you don't know that unless you do the work. So that would be my first kind of thing on this is try to use the seasonality and where we've gotten our best deals historically to our advantage. And then second, I want to see how bad this unemployment gets, right? If we don't find a sweet deal, Thanksgiving and Christmas is, right around the corner, so you don't have to wait long. Then I think I go and look at kind of post Q1. Again, for me, I've been very clear, right? I'm calling phase 2 of the housing crash in transactions until March 15th. So if I don't have to, it sounds like they have a home. That's what I would be telling Olivia and I, to just kind of wait and see. But you got to do the work. You just never know, especially for an owner rock, right? Because it's not all numbers, right? We have to be in this little stamp of an area. There's like 12 homes. All right. You find a good deal on one of those 12 homes, you got to take it, right?
Right.
But yeah, I'm pretty nervous for the Bay Area because I think we lost our luster. I think there's Austin, Florida are picking up the tech bandwagon. I think we lost generations, 2 generations now of future engineers in computer science because they're doing it elsewhere. I don't have my long-term vision of the Silicon Valley is, we've already peaked. Now that doesn't mean we're going to crash to, Central Valley prices, but the fact that a Palo Alto 1950 ranch never updated goes for $3 million is stupid. So yeah, I don't have a good feeling there. Elsewhere, like probably, I don't know, 80% of the country, right? So out of the Bay Area, out Phoenix, out Vegas, out Boise, the hot markets. I think you just do what you do. Get your buy box, declare your buy box. You probably, in this case, need to talk to a mortgage broker. Can you carry that second home, right? Sounds like they want to keep it, probably because they have a low rate, which a lot of people have. Maybe it helps you. Maybe you turn it into a rental and it actually adds income. I don't know, but that's what I'd look at. So I talked to a mortgage broker because shopping for a home, finding the one you want and then not qualifying because of the debt service, probably not the right answer. So I'd probably go talk to a mortgage broker right away in this question. But in the end, folks, we're heading for half the transactions. So first-time home buyers, move-up buyers, you have the power today. Buyers have the power like we haven't seen since 2012, 2013. Use it. Don't be in a rush. Get your buy box, whether you're an investor or owner. Do the work. It's always a great day to do a great deal. Most of you will never do the work. That's what bugs me, right? I can repeat it. I can wear the hats, but people don't do the work. They run out on a Sunday. They see 3 homes and like, we want to buy that one. I'm like, how do you know that one's a great deal? It's very frustrating.
Well, I'm curious to see if your advice for a first-time home buyer is going to be any different. I don't think it will be, but I'll ask another question. So the YouTube follower, whose name is I would prefer not to, he says, hello, sir, which is I would prefer not to what? The work? Do the work? But that's his name. I would prefer not to. He goes, hello, sir. Thank you for your content. For first-time home buyers in a hot market, do you recommend waiting for the market to cool before using our first-time home buying opportunities? We are looking for duplexes to house hack, but there's no good deals. Then we're looking for a 3-bed 2 for my wife and I with a plan to rent it out after 2 years. But I'm afraid we're going to be buying at too high of a rate. Since it's a hot market, I don't know how long it'll be before it cools. Any thoughts for him?
No, this is what I would tell all the homeowners, right? So first off, get yourself in order, protect your job. This is about playing a little bit of defense first, right? We're going to go into recession. Job losses are going up, all of those things. So play good defense, but do the work, right? And it's always a great day to do a great deal, right? You're shopping for a duplex or triplex. If you find a motivated seller that wants to sell this year for tax reasons, go get your discount. Go get some seller financing. Get creative. If you want to go buy a 3-2, 4-2, 5-2, whatever it is, and rent out rooms, go do the work, right? Run the numbers, see where you can play. This is not the time to get scared, right? I keep telling people, fear lives right here. Opportunity is on the other side. The only way to see through fear, to get excited, is to do the freaking work. I'm not telling you to buy. I'm not telling you to write an offer. I'm telling you to do the freaking work. Go learn average, and once you know average, if you find a great deal, congratulations. If you don't, keep doing the work. So, yeah, do the work. Do the work. People don't want to do the work. People want to sit on the couch and wait for somebody to ring a bell. Sorry, folks, it doesn't work that way.
So I'm currently helping a friend of mine get her first house hack, and
Girlfriend.
She might watch this. You better be careful.
I don't mind.
Watches some of our videos.
She doesn't live close to me.
So we have been looking at, and she's approved for $550,000 with a VA loan. Because the market's changing, the VA loan actually might have a little bit of teeth in terms of buying power right now. Absolutely. But we're looking at $600,000 duplexes. that are saying seller financing available, right as the first line in the description. Things that have been sitting on the market now for 30, 40 days. And this, combined with my knowledge, my real estate agent's knowledge, is okay, it's been on the market for 30, 40 days. We might just offer 550, even though it was listed at 600. Or we're looking at something that's already dropped in price once. Well, now they've psychologically shifted. Maybe we can get them to come down to what we want. We can move forward. And then we're going to ask for the closing costs. We're going to ask for them to pay down the rate, everything that you've been talking about. So it is working. Again, I've bought a lot of properties, so I've experienced, but she doesn't. She hasn't. So she has these same concerns and fears, but we're working through it using this advice.
Good luck.
Okay.
You will get one. I mean,
we will.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time. Again, I would tell you, right, a 600 that's been on the market for 40 days. I wouldn't even offer 550. I'd offer probably like 538 and then be willing to negotiate up to 550, right? You don't come out the gate with your best offer. Go 538 plus all these other things and then negotiate up. Yeah.
Okay, moving on. So you did at one point where we were talking about this, you talked about making a low ball offer, and you just told me right now coming in. So the YouTube user Home Record says, my question as an example, if a house is listed at 330,000, if in the history it was sold in the last year or two for, say, I don't know, 185, it's been sitting for 30 days. Is it a wise strategy to put in a lowball offer of 200? Now, forget about the numbers. What we want to talk about right now is what advice do you have for people who are thinking about making their first lowball offer? How far below should they offer? What are the best strategies you use?
Yeah. So first off, I don't really look at transaction history, right? You have no idea in this example or any other example what they really bought at 185. Maybe they bought a dump at 185 and dropped 80K in. I mean, you don't know these things, right? What they bought it for should mean nothing. Should absolutely. I think a lot of people look at it and a lot of people use that and they distort the facts. They distort reality. Because how dare they make a profit? Well, how do you know they're making a profit? I mean, really, how dare they? They bought it 2 years ago for 100. It's worth 500. That's just crazy. It can't be like that. You don't know the deal. You don't know the story. But back to the real question. So this is kind of how I see it. Again, you have to do the work in your market and your buy box. For my market today, you don't make low ball offers on first day listings, really anything less than 30 days in my market today. 2 months ago, it was 15 days. So again, this changes as my market cycles change because inventory is extending out. So you basically are fishing for pain. You're fishing before they drop the price one time. You're trying to prod that along. Generally speaking, the first thing I need to figure out when it's listed, is it a good price or is it wish pricing? Again, this is why I do work daily, right? So for example, my numbers, there's a house listed at 400. A better number would have been 375. So we've already got 25 grand of wish pricing. It sits on the market for 30 days at 400 grand. No price drop yet. I might come into that situation if my numbers worked at like 345. Because again, a better number is 375. I am not trying to get a yes answer at 345. I'm trying to check motivation. Believe me, if my first offer ever gets accepted, I am mad. I want you to hear that again. If my first offer gets accepted, I'm mad. I paid too much. So what I'm doing with this first offer is I'm testing motivation. One of two things are going to happen. One, the seller or the agent is going to tell me to F off, which tells me this seller is not motivated and that's going to be an expired listing because they're already 25K over market. So that's information to me. Second, they're going to come back at 375, which probably by this point, they've already had a couple of conversations about why not. So again, okay, great. You guys are doing the work, but you're just coming to market. I learned something. So that's what I'm trying to do early. Then as things age out and they get closer to 90 days, guess who gets more motivated? It's not the seller because they're already pissed off and checked out. It's the agent. Most agent contracts have 90 days. Some have 180 days. So I want to start fishing around day 80 for agent motivation. It is amazing how many agents get motivated to bring a creative offer to a seller who's about to cancel. I have gotten most of my seller finance deals the second or third conversation with agents. right? I talked to an agent on day 30 about, hey, would the seller take a second? I know they have a lot of equity, but oh no, because it's too hard. They don't know. They're just bad at their jobs. But you talk to them on day 85 on a date and they have 5 days left. They're like, dude, I'm so nervous. I'm going to lose this thing. I'd love to bring an offer. What do you got? Oh, tell me more. Tell me, write a letter, do this, do that, do that. Blah, blah, blah. So again, I'm fishing for motivation. So that's how I see this. Buying deals in the MLS, which is what we're talking about, to me is a dance, right? You got to ask the girl out. You got to ask the girl out. You got to ask the girl out. We're all not handsome like Mr. Millennial Mike here. We get the girl on the first try. Most of us got to work for it. So that's what I treat buying a house in the market. It's like I don't try to get the first yes answer. I try to wear them down, frankly. And again, I can do this because I don't need every house. I just need 2 or 3 houses, and I want to get the best deal for my exuber. So that's what I do.
Well, I think it's interesting that you brought up seller financing. So I do have a question about seller financing, and this one comes from Goobert. Great name. Can you explain how owner financing or seller financing is serviced? Explain how the payments are verified and managed, how things are tracked. So a lot of people are afraid to use seller financing because they're just concerned about those types of issues. They're more comfortable with a bank. So can you put their concerns to rest?
Yeah. So again, this is, seller financing only works when you and the seller create a win-win relationship where everybody's happy because you're signing up for a 5, 10, 20, 30-year relationship. So I always have that conversation with the seller. What do you want? So a couple of my I think all my sellers, let me make sure. Yeah. All the sellers that I bought seller financing deal are older than Olivia and I. The ones that I started doing about 10 years ago, they wanted checks. And again, you can write a check. You can see a check's cashed, easy to track. So that's what they wanted. That's what they got. The last 2 seller financing deals I did, they use Zelle, right? Which is a Wells Fargo payment app. Again, it works. So those are how I've done everything. But again, it's been, what did the seller want? I don't care how it happens. There are servicers that you could pay and then they will pay the seller. It creates that chain. You're going to pay a fee, or at least somebody is. Maybe it's the seller, maybe it's you, depending on the negotiation. But generally speaking, the seller wants you to make the payment. You want to make the payment. Get an audit trail, which for me is either canceled checks or a Zelle transaction history. It has worked for me. I'm not here to say it works for everybody, but talk to the seller. What do they want? Are you comfortable with that? Like if a seller wanted an envelope full of money, well, that's probably not going to work, right? But have the conversation. You want an audit trail? Cash check or canceled checks work. Zelle audit history works. At least that's all worked for me. It's never even had a second of questions from anybody.
Yeah, so I bought 2 houses on seller financing, both from the same seller, and I do the exact same thing. First of all, we did use a title company to do the title search.
Oh, absolutely.
And the history of the house. Second of all, I think it's in your first book that you wrote, never buy a property without title insurance. I think you put that in the book. Maybe it was just a conversation we had. Anyway, so I bought the property with title insurance. So the title company is checking over our documents and handling the transaction of money for the down payment for the actual transaction. So that's still the same as a regular transaction that you would buy on a loan. From there, like Mike said, I've just used Zelle because Chase has it, KeyBank has it, most banks have Zelle. And that creates it's just a wire transfer from your bank to their bank. It just doesn't have a fee on it. Happens almost instantaneously, and you get a little receipt. So if it ever had to go to court, if there was some accusation that I hadn't made my payment, well, I have proof that my bank transferred to your bank, and here's the electronic proof right here. So it wouldn't be an issue. And I've never had an issue with my seller. So I think some of those concerns are just because it's the unknown. You're a little bit concerned that maybe something bad could happen, but really it's not that complex of a process.
Nope. People process, just talk, just ask the seller, what do they prefer?
Okay, so in a few of your videos, you talked about rent prices coming down. And in my local market, I've seen that apartment rent prices have actually come down, and some of them kind of substantially by a few $100s here or there. However, single family homes and even duplexes and things seem to be holding steady and even still increasing. So Ben Cheech asks, he says, Mike was just on here a couple days ago saying that apartment rents were going up. I tried to explain to him about 3.8 million evictions that are occurring right now and 8.5 million behind on rent, but he ignores Census Bureau reports as well as 20 million behind an average of 875 on their electric bills. He ignores that fact as well. It's a bubble. So Mike, talk to us a little bit more about rent prices.
So really, there's two different things in there. First off, there's a lot of people that are looking for scary statistics. We know what channels produce those. And again, if you want to scare yourself, there's plenty of information out there to scare you. A lot of this is no a problem. But again, we've just lived through kind of 2 years of free money and stimulus ballers and all of that. And a lot of this folks that are behind on utility bills got used to other people paying their bills. I have tenants like this. We are going to clean the system. There are people that need to be evicted and weren't. We have LA County still in an eviction moratorium. I don't understand how that's possible given it was ruled unconstitutional, but thankfully I don't invest in LA County. Yeah, there's going to be some pain. There's going to be some people coming out. There will be new people going in. It's not, stop looking at the scary statistics unless you want to do nothing. There's a lot of people moving in. Every time I have a vacancy, I have dozens of people that want to come in. I do think apartments, and I've said it many times, apartment rents, again, nationally speaking, are going to get soft. I think multifamily investors are going to get hurt. I think unrealistic assumptions. I think, again, everything in the multifamily area, and we're going to do a Ken McElroy video later this morning, it's just going the wrong way. Record occupancy coming down, record income going down, right? It's just all kinds of bad. But that said, in the single family market, there are two things going on. Whether you like it or not, Ben, the supply of rental homes, single family homes, is going down at the exact time that demand is going up. How do I know that? Well, we have record unaffordability and people like to live in homes versus apartments. So I feel very good about single family rents being strong. I pray they don't go up double digits because that just becomes a problem. But yeah, apartments are going to be a problem. And I own some apartments. Thankfully, I sold a couple in 2019, turned out to be a year early. But I'm glad I did because I saw this coming. Yeah, the owners are in great shape. Like if you're a renter, this is going to be a terrible year. There'll be evictions. There'll be more roommate situations. I'm not sitting here to say it's going to be all roses. It's going to be a pretty yucky year. Yeah.
Okay, a couple more questions on rent prices and whether they're going up or down. So PW says, how can rents come down in cities that are 70,000 apartments shy of demand?
Again, it's all very local, right? I can talk about my market or the nation. Yeah, if you happen to be in a migration heavy environment, they can't go down. Eventually the supply will show up, but that's eventually. Yeah, so again, know your buy box, know your city, all of that. I would argue that it can't go down. Best it goes flat. But again, for me, there really are two different markets: single family homes or single family home like duplexes, quads, or big apartment buildings. And generally speaking, I have a better feeling about houses. Again, to me, there are again less single family rentals today than there were 2 years ago. I mean, just wrap your mind around that. And oh, by the way, the demand is going up. It's a crazy dichotomy.
So the last question on this topic is from House Hunter 15, and he says that everyone has said people will not sell their houses. They're just going to rent in order to avoid losing money on a house or not being able to move into something else. So everyone has said people aren't going to sell. They're just going to rent. Well, what happens when everybody tries to list for rent at the same time? What effect is that going to have?
Well, again, there's not a light switch on any of this. And we're years away from even considering that, right? So basically what's going to happen, because again, I'm calling for this and thankfully called for it early. Supply destruction is what we're talking about. People won't list because they're locked in with 2, 3, 4% mortgages. Mm-hmm. This is going to roll for years. Eventually, I believe what happens, and the only cure for this, unfortunately, is time. It's the only cure. Let's take your situation, Mike, for just for example, just two guys talking, right? Right now, you've locked into a duplex, great mortgage rate. What's your mortgage rate in Seattle?
3.45 on this one I'm in right now.
Yeah. So 3.45. He's not going anywhere.
No.
Let's just pretend over the next 18 months or so, this lady he's seeing becomes serious. He buys her a rock. They get married. I'm just saying. I'm just having fun. They move into hers or his or her duplex. Again, great interest rates. Oh, I don't know. Couple of years later, another kid, right? You have another child with this wonderful woman. Maybe another one comes. Eventually, the duplex becomes too crammed, right? You can only get so many bunk beds in the bedroom.
Right.
Eventually, you're going to have to move, but it's going to be 2, 3, 4 life events before you are forced to get up, before she looks you in the eye and says, Michael, we're getting out of here. And you're going to be like, yes, honey. So again, it's not going to be a wave of people going, oh my God, let's do here. Let's go. People overthink things. They just overthink things. It's not a life switch. I mean, people talking about the silver tsunami. You think all the 75-year-olds have an expiration date and they just all pop off on the same day? I mean, this is not how life works.
Oh man. Okay. All right. So one of your followers.
That was funny. I chuckled in my head.
Yeah. I'm not commenting and committing to anything yet. We got a lot of time left. All right, burnout and where to start. So one of the followers of your channel, Lisa Hayes, says, I'm getting burnt out at work. I have some money saved, but I'm not sure how to learn from a source that's actually going to help me long term. But I'm interested in hearing more. So Mike, if you were going to give advice to somebody who's getting started, and maybe even some of those people we talked to earlier, what advice would you give them on where they should be looking for advice? Not just do the work, but who should they learn from? Where should they go to get educated on how to buy real estate?
Yeah, again, I would focus on people that really have done it, not just selling stuff. I think that book that's on your right, the 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires. Most people don't like their job. Most people are depressed. Most people want to do other things. Somebody, if somebody's selling you a dream of quit your job, burn the boats, all that stuff, it might work. We have one story in that book from the best investor in Fresno it worked for. I would argue that for most people, that's bankruptcy material. What I would tell you to do is, instead of hating your job, twist how you think of your job. Treat your job as the cash flow for your future. Go be the best at it and save money, and then build your nest egg and start, then house hack and do all these wonderful things that, Dion has done. Dion went from 89,000 in negative net worth, making $17 an hour, to financially free in 8 years with 3 kids. If there's not something to learn in that story, you're not paying attention. There's going to be a lot of people, when you get desperate, like I hear that comment, you're going to get a lot of people saying, hey, let me show you how I turned 17 cents into 50 million bucks in 4 days. Just pay me $500 or whatever it is. That's why rule number 6 on my thing is, this is a 5 to 10 year plan. I'm not here singing songs and no easy buttons. I'm here telling you the first 3 to 5 years suck. I'm telling you we're heading into a recession. So the last thing you do is quit your job now. I mean, that would be crazy. So I would tell you, lots of people hate your job. Stop being desperate. Desperate is when bad decisions come. Do the work, figure it out, model people who have done it that were like you. I think Dion is the great example. You don't need hundreds of units. I think he has 16. He started making $17 an hour. He had 3 kids. He went backwards. He got out of a house, moved into an apartment so he could house hack and get income. There's just magic there, folks. And the last thing I would tell someone in that situation is, if you're not house hacking soon, you're making a mistake. You've got to get rid of your biggest expense. That will help produce cash flow and probably take the stress off your job. So I'm probably not the person. If you're looking for the easy button, I'm not your boy. I'm not your guy. Go to one of the charlatans.
Yeah, I think if you want to find good people that you can learn from, the 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires is the written version, or One Rental at a Time YouTube channel has, 8 or 9, are you up to 10 millionaires weekly that you interview, who all come from different backgrounds all across the country. They started in different ways. They use different strategies to be successful in real estate. If you can't find somebody there that you can then hone in on and learn from, there's probably nothing that can be done for you.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, right? Each of them have their own playlist, right? So watch them. You won't click with all of them, but I guarantee you'll find 1 or 2, and then congratulations. Most of them have 300 hours of content you can go back and listen to. So, get to work.
Yeah, the other favorite of mine after Dion and the Lumberjack is going to be Anna Kelly. She has a really inspiring story as well.
Yeah, she's. I mean, talk about a lady who Anna Kelly did what I just said. She had the big house in Texas. She was successful. What did she do? She sold it, moved in with in-laws when she had 2 children, which I'm sure wasn't fun. And then they bought a 4-plex, and she moved in upstairs in Pennsylvania, with 2 kids to start house. It's what saved her. She's on record saying that was the best financial decision they've ever made. Most people won't even consider sacrificing like that. To you, I say, keep being stressed. You know, if it's good enough for Anna, it should be good enough for any of us.
All right, last question of the day. And this is more of a sentiment that's been echoed across your YouTube channel in a few different comments, and not necessarily a question, but it comes from Nims. Poor retirees can't retire, but Michael is out here cheering on useless Jerome Powell. Must be nice to be a millionaire. So, Mike, I've gotten the feeling that some people think you've got a love romance with Jerome Powell, that you're too soft on him. Explain to us your thoughts on him. We're going to do some reaction videos to him here in just a minute.
Yeah, so I see questions like that, and unfortunately, more and more people are going to start saying this. Jerome Powell is going to become the most hated man in America, if not the most hated man in the world. And if he wants to beat inflation, he has to. I think he understands that. I am not a Jerome Powell fan. I've been very clear. If you go back and watch my discussions, I've said he kept rates too low for too long. I've asked for him to step up and be a man and do 100 basis points. Stop telling your boys on Wall Street what's coming. I'm not confused, but on the other side, I also know what's coming, which is why I think this guy or gal or whatever Nims is upset. I'm not cheering him on, but I also know the future. Unemployment's going up. There will be 1 to 2 million more people unemployed coming. I know the negative wealth effect is coming. Because I know these things doesn't make me a cheerleader, asshole. You know, I hate stuff like that. Just because you speak the truth and it's not what you want to hear, that makes me a cheerleader. I don't understand that stuff like that pisses me off. If I ever find that comment, I'm going to block that jerk. I just hate shit like that. It just really pisses me off. Right? I do stuff every day. I tell you what's coming, and you don't want to. What are you going to do? You're just going to pretend like we're going to have 3.5% unemployment. People are going to keep giving you stimmy checks so you can watch, play video games and smoke out. I mean, I don't understand. I mean, Jesus.
Well, Mike, those were all the questions that we had. However, we have gotten tagged in a couple of different Instagram videos with Ryan Pineda, Dave Ramsey. So we're going to be doing those in a separate video to this.
I'm really glad you left that last one, because I got mad. God, I would not have wanted to answer those other, because that one ticked me off. I don't remember that comment, because I'm going to go back and find it. I got to delete that or block that guy. Yeah, if you don't like what's coming, I mean, here's one last thing about that. Stop calling me a cheerleader. I'm making a call. If you don't like the call and you have evidence to the contrary, make the call. I've told lots of people, hey, maybe it'll happen. You're right. Maybe the facts will go that way. But don't tell me that I'm cheerleading 2 million people unemployed. That's insulting. That there's nothing in my character of what I've done the last 3 years that thinks I'm cheerleading that. So, yeah. All right. Well, I got to compose myself. Mike, where can people find you?
If you're interested in learning about how to get started in out-of-state real estate investing, that's everything I talk about on my YouTube channel. If you just look up Millennial Mike on Instagram or YouTube, that's pretty much all we cover.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.